All right, here we go. All right, thank you. My brother Dave and I, as well as our entire family, are honored to accept this award for our father. We'd also like to thank the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee for including our dad in the fellowship. And congratulations from our entire family to tonight's recipients as well. And we'd also like to congratulate the prior recipients who are in the building tonight. Now, before I actually begin, I would like to acknowledge my Aunt Marilyn, who will be 91 tomorrow, as my father's last surviving sibling. So, gotcha. All right. So my name is Russ Carter, and I am going to introduce you to my dad, Russ Carter, by giving his Hall of Fame induction speech. However, due to time constraints and not wanting to feel the wrath of my friend, Hall of Fame President Jack Krampitz, I have whittled my speech down from 40 minutes to a mere 35. It will only feel like 30 because there will be an intermission. All right, here we go, folks. So the year is 1967. There's a Texan in the White House. America's at war. The Red Sox are playing the Cardinals in the World Series. They lose in 7. And my dad manages his first Little League game at Edgewood. Fast forward to 2004. There's another Texan in the White House. America's at war again. Red Sox are playing the Cardinals in the World Series. They win in 4. And my dad manages his last Little League game at Edgewood. You know, they say that the more things change, the more they stay the same. But what didn't change was my father's commitment to the kids of Bristol. No matter their age, no matter their skill set, and no matter their background, he treated everyone equally and fairly. Now, thank you. Now, there are several thousand words I could use to describe my dad. However, due to time constraints and not wanting to feel the wrath of Jack Krampitz, I've whittled that list of several thousand words down to 4. And they are dedicated, humble, stubborn, and unselfish. The latter of which I think best describes it. To volunteer his time for 40 years by hitting thousands of ground balls, fly balls, line drives, and pop-ups, throwing thousands of pitches, organizing countless practices and field trips, locating lost uniforms at the season's end, or simply sitting with a player following a game or a practice, waiting for their ride to arrive as an indication of his unselfishness or he needed a hobby, which is what he often said. Now, my dad loved all sports, but his passion was baseball. It completed him. He loved the strategy, the suspense, the unpredictability, the drama, the stories, and even the trivia. But most of all, teaching it. He loved teaching it. In fact, when he learned that one of his grandkids was left-handed, he quipped, "Great, let's get him pitching now." To which I had to remind him, "Dad, he's 2. Right, fly balls it is. And whether it was coaching 2 teams simultaneously, one in the majors and one in the minors, umpiring, field maintenance, selling raffle tickets, securing cots for the Giamatti Center by traveling all the way to West Point, and yes, actually working in the snack shack, he loved doing it all because it was all for the betterment of the kids, except for the snack shack because he liked the free hot dogs. Now, my father's coaching style was to stress the fundamentals. Always hustle. Tuck your glove in when you sprint on and off the field. Run hard to every base. Catch every ball with 2 hands. And support your teammates, especially when they falter. Especially when they falter. But carry yourself with pride and dignity. But through it all, have fun and play to win. But win with humility. However, when you lose, for the love of God, have the common decency to at least cover the point spread. Thank you. All right. It feels like a home game. Cool. All right. It's been said that actions speak louder than words, and he was loud and clear in that respect. He led by example. He was the first to practices, the first to games, and the first to fall and spring cleanups, and he never made excuses. Those principles, and many others, guided him through his life as a father, a grandfather, a husband, a brother, and a coach. His legacy is etched in the lives he enhanced and the examples he set. And those principles were passed down to my brother and myself. Well, not so much my brother, but I mean, I had to get one in, come on. These things write themselves. You keep looking at me like that, there's gonna be a second one. I can go all night. Good news, there's only 25 minutes to go. And if I'm up here long enough, I'll get to everybody. But we are proud to say that we taught our players with the same positive encouragement as our dad. Now, there are many, many stories I wish I could tell you about my dad tonight. However, due to time constraints and not wanting to feel the wrath of, and everyone, please say it along with me, Jack Crampits. Yes. He feels better. His name has now been mentioned 4 times. I've whittled those stories down to one. I've done a lot of whittling lately, but I've whittled those stories down to one because I think it best exemplifies his coaching style. And it features yours truly. And that ain't my brother. There's a second one. All right, I'm done with you. Got off easy, actually. But all right, so it's 1978. I'm 12 years old. I'm pitching for my dad's team, the Astros. Guida's Dairy, sponsored by. And we're playing the Phillies. It's the end of the season. Playoffs are in the air. We're on Field 1, Breen Field. And it started out great. I kept the Phillies scoreless, and then the first batter came to the plate to start the game. And immediately, the home runs started flying out of here. Kevin Bashand, boom! I didn't know you could hit a ball that far. Kenny Crone, boom! I thought it was illegal to hit a ball that far. Some kid I did not even know, kaboom! These things went so far, archaeologists are still trying to find the balls in the Coppermine Brook. But by the 6th, we had scratched and clawed or made our way back into the game and actually taken the lead by several runs when it started all over again. Bing, bang, boom, balls are flying everywhere. It starts turning into a disaster, but don't worry, we got our FEMA checks the next day. Anyway, the Phillies are now within a run. Tying run is at second. Winning run is coming to the plate. There's 2 outs, and all looks lost. And I look over at the third base dugout, and I see my dad embarking on that long, slow, arduous walk to the mound. It looked like something out of the Baton Death March. Yes, I kept that in there. And while I stood there waiting for him, I wondered what words of strength or encouragement would my coach, my father, my hero offer in this dire situation. And when he finally arrived at the mound, he looked me square in the eye and said, "What'd I miss? I was getting a cup of coffee." I sheepishly explained our plight and how our playoff ambitions were now lying in the balance, to which he said, "Is that it? Because the last time I checked, we were still winning, unless you give up another one of those home runs. So I'd suggest you get the last out so we can get out of here and I can get another cup of coffee." And that's exactly what I did because I knew how much coffee meant to my dad. But that gets to the heart of who he was. Let's not concentrate on what we did, which is the past. Let's concentrate on what it is we're going to do, which is the future. Before I go, I will leave you with this. The last image I have of my dad on the field is after winning the Edgewood Championship in 2003. He could have been celebrating with his players on the field, or he could have been celebrating with the parents, or he could have been resting. And who could blame him? His body was slowly being consumed by Parkinson's, and the cancer would eventually take him from us. But instead, he was out on the field teaching his grandkids the proper way to run the bases. Always the coach. Thank you, and goodbye.